So again, I'm recording this session para sa mga hindi nakapunta today as well as those na nandito and want to review the session. No? Again, we'll be relatively quick about the techniques, no? Pero I'll slow down once in a while para makahabol kayo. Pero again, for those techniques na medyo confusing, you can just look back at the recording tapos review nyo na lang, no? Okay? So again, punta lang tayo sa plate 16, 17 dito sa sectional view. Download natin to. This is the practice worksheet for today. And parang ayaw mag-load. Download ko lang. Also, constantly save your work kasi medyo bumabagal yung net sa department ngayon, no? Minsan nawawala siya. Pag nawala yung net, hindi gumagana. Minsan nasa sign out kayo, no? Ayan, mukhang nawalang net. Sakto. Kailangan. Let's just ayan. Hopefully na ayan, okay na. Download ko lang to. Let's save. Okay. Let's open AutoCAD. Okay, while AutoCAD is opening, discuss ko lang yung types of projection, no? For sectioning, or sige, briefly discuss ko lang kung ano yung sectioning. So sectioning is essentially, and you can read on this lecture on your own, no? Self-sustaining naman tong lecture na to. And we also have YouTube videos for this. You can also review that. Pero essentially, what we're doing in sectioning is that we want to see the internal features of our objects, no? And we've seen this in our drawing so far, yung mga multi-view projections, saka isometric drawings. We've noticed that there are certain features wherein sobrang hirap na imagine, no? Especially if it's an internal feature. The best way we can imagine them when we're doing multi-view projections is through the hidden lines. Tama? So, for example, ito, pwede natin ma-imagine kung ano nasa loob kasi meron tayong mga hidden lines. Pero, with the hidden lines alone, sobrang confusing niya, no? Hindi natin masyadong nakaka-capture agad yung essence of the internal features. A better way of viewing this is to do what we call as a sectional view. So essentially, a sectional view is just a cutaway view, no? So we imagine a sectional plane that is cutting across our object. Now, where our sectional plane meets the object, kung saan siya solid, it produces what we call as hatch lines, no? So ito yung hatch lines, and I'll teach you how to do hatch lines in AutoCAD 2D method. Tapos ituturuan ko din kayo ng 3D method which automatically generates the hatch lines for you, no? Okay? So, depending on how you cut the object, pwedeng magkaiba yung mapuproduce na sectional views. So this is just a straight on full section, no? This is what we call as a full section. And a full section is essentially just a straight section, no? Wala kang the sectional plane is just a straight sectional plane, and it is oriented in such a way that it exposes whatever we want to expose dun sa internal feature ng material natin. Okay? Now, the hatch lines could tell you about the different material. So, for example, there are different parang standards for different materials. Ito naman, this is based on standards. Ang ginagamit natin is itong regularly spaced na hatch lines, no? This is the ES1. We're assuming that everything is made out of, I think this is iron, no? Tama ba? Wait lang. Hanapin ko lang yung standard. Hanapin ko lang yung slides on standards, no? Nawawala. Wait lang, ha? Wala ata dito. So, search ko lang. Hatch lines. Standards. Ito. So there are a lot of patterns. These are just some of the examples. So, kunwari, ito, for general purpose or cast iron, ito yung ginagamit natin na hatch lines, which we use ANSI 31. And in fact, si AutoCAD, pwede natin i-specify itong ANSI 31 na to. Okay? Tapos, if you have steel, kunwari, ganito yung hatch line patterns niya. It's two close lines, tapos may one large gap, then two evenly spaced lines again. So, yun yung pattern niya. Then, we have brass or bronze. It's a solid line followed by a broken line, and solid, broken, solid, broken. Tapos ito, pag rubber naman, tatlong closely spaced lines, then followed by a large gap, then tatlong closely spaced lines again. And you have aluminum, which has an intricate pattern. No? So, depending on the material, pwede nyo ipakita using your sectional view kung anong type of material yung ginagamit. Okay? Pero in ES1, we always assume na general purpose or cast iron lang ginagamit natin. Okay? So, kaya, kasi it's the easiest one to do, no? It's just the equally spaced lines that is around 45 degrees yung hatching niya. Okay? So, there are general rules to this. Hindi ko na i-go over all the rules. Ang gagawin ko na lang is as we go along, tsaka ko i-discuss kung ano yung mga proper rules in doing the hatchings, no? Okay? But essentially, siguro pinaka-importante lang is that when we do a sectional plane, we are actually doing a new view, no? And that new view is cut across the specific section plane na pinili natin. So, this is the section plane, kunwari, ito. So, titingnan natin ngayon kung ano yung makikita natin when we use this as a viewing plane, kumbaga. So, if you use that as a viewing plane, dapat kita nyo yung different planes. No? So, this is an object which has, meron siyang, parang cylinder siya na merong hole sa gitna, tapos different size hole doon sa bottom part dito, tapos different size hole din sa taas, tapos meron din siyang 4 holes doon sa quadrants, no? Okay? So, makikita natin, this is the correct view, no? Kasi if you can look at it, kita mo yung plane na to. This plane right here is this plane. Ito siya. So, if I can draw on it, no? So, itong plane na to, ito makikita natin dito. This one. This is actually this plane. Tama? Itong plane na to. And you can see it, if your line of sight is this one, so if this is your line of sight, parang ganyan, line of sight, makikita natin na from that view, kitang-kita tong plane na to. So, it looks like a regular rectangle lang because curved surfaces in sectional views are hindi na natin sinishade, no? So, kitang-kita yung ano niya. So, buo yung regular rectangle na nag-produce niya. When in fact, it's actually a curve, no? So, yun lang yung mahirap na portion sa sectional view is that mahirap ma-distinguish kung parang flat plane ba siya or curved plane. So, the way we determine if it's a flat plane or a curved plane is through what we call as the center lines, no? So, ito yung mga center lines natin. So, a center line, whenever you see a center line, and the center line is denoted by a long line followed by a short line, then another long line. Parang ganyan. So, this runs along the center of the curved surface. So, whenever you have a curved surface like this, dapat i-show nyo na it's a curved surface by incorporating itong center line na to. Okay, so this is the correct view. Kitang-kita lahat ng mga planes. This is an example of a wrong view wherein, kung mapapansin nyo, ang drawing lang niya is the planes that are attached to the sectional plane or yung planes that are touching the section plane, no? So, dinawing niya is this one, the hatch lines, pero hindi niya dinawing itong mga planes na to. Which is wrong, no? Kasi if you look at it from this point of view, hindi naman magically mawawala itong mga back planes na to, no? Those back planes will still manifest itself as a as a rectangle dito sa particular view na to. So, there should be a sort of lines here, no? Parang ganyan. Right? Tapos, eto naman, this is wrong because although tama yung projection ng planes, available lahat ng planes, ang ginawa niya is nagdrawing pa siya ng additional na hidden lines. Okay? So, hidden lines are no longer required because in sectional views, ang purpose kasi ng sectional views is to expose the internal features. No? So, there's no need for hidden lines. So, when you have a sectional view, hindi nyo na kailangan i-drawing yung mga hidden lines dun sa likod. So, it makes it a lot easier, no? Kasi ito, you are just viewing kung ano lang talaga visible from the line of sight na pinili nyo. So from itong section plane na to, kung ano yung visible dyan, yun lang yung i-drawing nyo. Hindi nyo na kailangan isipin yung mga nandito sa part na to, which is covered by yung mga front na objects or objects at the front. Okay? So ito naman, malito kasi ginawa niyang broken lines itong boundary na to. So whenever there is a separation of planes, dapat yung separation na yun should be darkened, no? And a common mistake is, minsan yung mga students is, and this is just an example na kunwari, meron silang sectional plane na ganyan, tapos meron silang area dito, kunwari na drawing nila ganyan, tapos nag-drawing din sila ng separate area dito because of how the object looks like, parang dalawang plane siya, tapos i-hatch nila to separately. So this is wrong because if they are truly a part of the same plane, so kumbaga kung nakat siya, dapat magmumukhang isang plane lang to. So kumbaga para silang magmo-merge eh. So this takes a little bit of practice, no? Pero you will figure this out, and we have plenty of examples later on para makita natin kung kailan ba natin siya dinodrawing itong line na to, if it's necessary or separated siya. So minsan dinodrawing tong line na to, sometimes this can occur, no, especially for multi component objects. So for example, yung mga objects natin na gagawin natin for our final projects, those planes are multi objects, no? So hindi siya one object lang. So in those cases, baka lilitaw tong line na to. Pero again, for your final project, hindi ko na i-recommend na mag-manual 2D methods kayo. I suggest you do the 3D methods. As long as your 3D models are correct, automatic naman mapuproduce effectively or correctly yung yung final sectional view. Okay? Right, so I think okay na, nandito pala yung, di pala. Sorry. So ito yung hindi natin kailangan malaman to. This is for manual methods, no? This is the proper way of doing section lines, hatch lines. Kailangan around 45 degrees siya. Hindi naman super strict na 45 degrees. Somewhere around 45 degrees siya. Then ang spacing niya is around 2.5 millimeters, no? Again, hindi siya super strict. Pero ito yung recommended, no? Pero since we're doing AutoCAD, when we use the hatch command, automatic naman na siya na yung gagawa ng equal spacing. Ang gagawin na lang natin is adjust yung scale para properly reflected siya. And pwede natin i-adjust yung angle nyo. Pero by default, naka 45 degrees siya. Right? Now, yung 4 lines, kailangan natin siyang i-drawing in such a way na they should never be parallel or perpendicular to the object lines. Okay? Because if you have lines that are parallel or perpendicular to the object lines, it can cause confusion, no? So for example, this is the correct way to do it. It's 45 degrees, and that's also one of the reasons why 45 degrees is chosen, no? Because it's the most common angle such that it shows the object or it does not have any parallel or perpendicular lines to common objects, no? So for example, ito wala siyang parallel or perpendicular. This is wrong because the lines are perpendicular to this one and parallel to this one. Dito naman, this is the correct way of doing it. So ito, pwede mo i-break yung 45 degree rule, no? Kasi if you kung pipilit yung 45 degree rule, ang mangyayari is it is now parallel to this object line right here. So that becomes confusing, no? Ito very much confusing to. Now, if you have two objects, ito yung case wherein meron tayong two objects. If there are two objects that are separated, kailangan i-reverse nyo yung hatch lines ng isang object, no? So, reversing the hatch lines entails that you are separating the two objects para clear na ito, this object in the middle is different from this object in the middle. Okay? And this is the wrong way to do it, no? Na parang yung hatch line niya is it cuts across the separation of the objects. Okay? So, another example, ito, this is 45 degree line. Bawal to kasi it's parallel, no? Tapos bawal dito kasi it's perpendicular to the line. So a better way of doing it is doing this way, no? Na parang nasa 30 degree angle siya. Okay? So again, you can adjust this. In AutoCAD naman, you can adjust the angles. Okay? So proceed tayo dito sa types of views. We have the full section, we have the half section, we have the offset section, and we have the align section. Lahat na to dadaanan natin, no? So full section is just when your cutting plane passes entirely through the object. Half section is when you expose only half of the object. and the other half is retained. This is also a good way to show it, no, para kita yung parang object itself, if it's kung buo siya, and half section para makita yung loob. Especially if your object is symmetrical, no? Half sections are usually the way to go. Then you have your offset section. Offset section, especially when you have different features that are of different levels, mas maganda kung nag-offset section tayo. Offset section is, this is an example of full section. Straight away, ito yung full section natin, ikakat niya yung object mo, one plane, continuous siya. Half section again is kalahati lang, i-expose niya, tapos yung kalahati, papakita niya yung object that is not cut away by the, So again, symmetrical siya, no? So it gives you a good view kung ano yung itsura niya sa labas, ano yung itsura niya sa loob. So, next is yung, saan yung offset? Offset, this is an example of offset. Kung makikita natin, may different levels siya. So, kunwari, ito, gusto mong makita itong internal feature na to, gusto mo rin makita itong internal feature na to. So, mangyayari is, if you just do one full section, mangyayari is, hindi niya madadaanan itong section na to. So, for us to go through that section, kailangan igawa natin siya ng offset section. And this is your offset section. So, the case, when we're doing offset section, we are imagining na yung line of sight natin, parang nausog lang siya from this level, papunta sa level na to. And notice how, itong where the offset is made, wala siyang line boundary dito, no? Parang it's as if continuous lang siya. Notice how itong hatch lines natin, dire-diretso lang siya. Kasi again, the offset section is a continuous section, no? Hindi nyo ini-imagine na may break dito. Continuous lang siya. So, may continuity dyan. So, dire-diretso yung solid na to. Then, change levels. Pero, dire-diretso pa rin yung solid na to. So, meaning, yung tinatamaan ng section plane mo, parang isang solid lang na dire-diretso. Kaya siya straight na hatch lang siya ng ganyan. Okay? Then, the last type is the aligned section, no? So, let me show an example of an aligned section. Ito yung aligned section wherein it's a full section pero may portion wherein mag-change siya ng angle, no? So, this is the aligned section. Ito, kunwari, you have this section right here. It starts here pero mag-change siya ng angle dito. So, the difficult part in creating a line section, and this is the hardest of all the 4 sections that I've mentioned, no, is because ang mangyayari dito is kailangan nyo kasi siyang i-straighten out, no? So, kailangan nyo siyang i-straighten out like so. So, kumbaga, parang i-imagine nyo na itong section na to is i-rectify nyo siya. So, it will curve inwards papunta such that it creates a straight line. Okay? So, because if we just do a normal projection, kunwari ganyan, if in the normal projection lang natin siya, kunwari ito dito lang dapat mag-end yung object natin. Tapos yung center ng object should be somewhere here. Tama? Kasi yun yung normal projection niya or orthogonal projection. And this can be done, no? AutoCAD also allows for this, yung normal projection. Pero ang bad thing about this is that for shortened yung mga views natin dito. Kasi it's not anymore showing the correct size of the object. So, usually when we do align, it's usually because some portion of the object is at an angle na different from the main projection line natin or main section line natin. Other examples, ito usually mga ganito. Ito yung align section natin. Meron pa ba isang example ng align section dito? Okay? So, yun lang muna. Again, just a rough overview of what sectional views are. Tapos, I think the best way to learn this is, again, just learning by doing tayo, no? Ay, sayang. Hindi pala na-update yung clock ko. Signal. Okay? So, let's begin with the first page. The first page is a simple object lang yun. Actually, napakita na natin yung first object natin, no? This is shown in the slides. Ito, yung parang may bilog. Although, this is a simplified version kasi dire-diretso lang yung butas natin. Notice, di ba yung pinakita ko kanina, yung butas sa taas, parang may different pa siya na alignment, no? Kumbaga, mas maliit yung butas dito. Doon sa pinakita ko kanina, parang meron pa siyang dito. Mas maliit siya na butas doon sa tuktok. versus dito. Parang ganito yung view kanina. Ito, this is a simplified version of that. Pero let's start off with this one. Let's create a new object. Tapos, attach lang natin. Again, PDF import won't work here kasi I think raster image kasi to. So, let's do attach lang. I think I saved it in downloads sectional. Let's do page 2 first. Tapos 0, 0. Tama ba? Zoom, extends. Yan. So, this is our image, no? Okay? Pwede naman i-recreate natin to, pero I think kahit hindi na natin i-recreate, okay lang. We can work with this, no? Tapos, nandito yung ano natin, marker, no? We have a marker here which signifies kung saan natin i-drawing yung sectional view natin. Alright? So, this one, again, it's a simple object. Parang nakikita natin na dalawang cylinders lang siya. There are 2 cylinders. Parang may cylindrical base ka. Tapos, meron kang cylindrical na a hollow cylinder din na sitting on top of it. Tapos, around the quadrants, meron kang holes in those quadrants. And our section view is, ito yung section view na pinili. This one. And, create na tayo ng section view of this particular object. Now, the easiest way to do this is, let's just do projection lines, no? And probably I'll set up my layers first. Let's do, I'll lock this layer para, oh sorry, not hide. I'll lock my layer para hindi ko na siya ma-edit. I'll just say, rename natin to. I'll just say, answer. Gawin ko lang siyang yellow just to distinguish it, no? Okay, so, project lang natin to. Again, dahil hindi siya, dahil raster image to, we can just estimate, no? Again, okay lang naman mag-estimate tayo for this particular problem. Pero dun sa plates, it will be an exact image, no? Kasi it's made in AutoCAD. Okay? So, ito, let's just do projection lines first. Itong extents niya, kumbaga. And I'll just do this one. Okay? I'll trim it off para mas malinis siya. Ang ganyan. Now, let's determine the height of this sort of height nung section plane natin, no? So, the largest na height niya would be this one, no? So, pwedeng yun yung gamitin natin. So, I'll just take my circle tool. Like so. Tapos, lagay ko lang siya dito. And that will be the largest height. Like so. And probably, kasi this will be confusing later, no? Siguro turn off ko lang yung quadrant ko. Perpendicular, gagamitin ko. Apparent intersection, off ko lang. Simplify ko lang muna kasi sometimes it can cause confusion, no? Ito lang. Tagalin ko muna yung midway point. Sorry. Parang importante yung midway point dito. Mas madali. Mas mapapadali buhay natin kung may midway point. Pwede siguro ganyan. Right? Okay. So, we have this one. Ito yung height natin. Ang gagawin lang natin is, let's do it per element. So, pwedeng sa base tayo magsimula. So, I can copy this height. Ito. Itong height na to. And this is the base. So, meron tayong guidelines for the base. Right? Tapos, yung top cylinder natin, ito nakapatong sa taas, which is this one. Pwede natin siya ma-drawing just by taking the distance, how much it is inwards, no? Kung saan siya papasok siya dito. Tama? So, what we can do is, pwede natin gawin, we can take this distance, tapos measure natin siya paloob dito. Okay? And let's just mark it, or sorry, pwede natin drawing ng line, no? Let's draw a line going to the left, like so. And we can use the same distance doon naman sa other side. Like so. Be careful para dito, class, no? Kasi a common mistake students make is that minsan napapabaliktad nila to, no? Parang ang nangyayari is, instead of doing this one, minsan, nami-mirror nila ng ganyan. Na ganyan siya, no? So, parang baliktad yung orientation. Ito yung nasa left side, ito yung nasa right side. So, ang imagination natin is that it is, if this is your object, parang ito yung sectional view, you are viewing it, ganun yung ikot niya. Okay? So, just be careful dito. A lot of students make that mistake, no? Okay? So, ito, generally, pagka tiningnan nyo siya dito from this view, sa sectional view, it will almost always look like the profile of the front view or the side view. So, for example, ito, kung titingnan natin, halos same siya ng itsura dito. And if I trim the unnecessary lines, kunwari ito, makikita natin na yung profile nito is exactly the same as this profile. Which makes sense, no? Kasi parang circular kasi ito. So, when we cut it from the section plane, we should see the same profile here and here. Okay? So, need na lang natin is to show the internal features, which in this case are just the holes, no? So, dito, pwede natin, we know that this is a hole na dire-diretso siya pababa because if you look at the circle here and follow the hidden lines, makikita natin that the hidden lines goes all the way to the bottom, no? Hindi siya tumigil anywhere. So, meaning, it tells me that etong line na to, dire-diretso to pababa. Tama? Would you agree? Tama, no? Parang isang dire-diretso siya na butas. So, what we can do is, we just get this distance. Tapos, project lang natin siya papunta sa kabila. And let's do the same dito. Dito pala. And project it. Dire-diretso lang. Ganyan. Okay? Now, I can trim this para mas malinis. Tapos, I know that it's a dire-diretso lang kasi yung butas na yan. So, I know na wala dapat tong line na to. Okay? Because it will now exist as a straight na hole lang. Okay? So, we're almost there. Next natin gagawin is we can project this one. Tama? Ang last na natin gagawin is yung two holes na that are at the quadrants, the north and south, na dadadaanan ng ating section plane natin. Okay? So, gagawin lang natin is, we just make another projection here. So, let's project it, this one. Tapos, project natin itong plane na to. Now, because I know this is symmetrical, what I can do is, pwede ko actually mirror na lang to, no? So, kasi alam ko na symmetrical kasi itong object na to, so that I won't need to copy this. Pwede kong gawin is, I'll just mirror this, select the two objects, mirror, tapos select ko yung mirror plane, midpoint dito and midpoint dito. So, that's a shortcut you can do, no? Again, select the two objects, mirror, select the midpoint, kasi yun yung gusto nating mirror plane, and select the other midpoint sa kabila para ma-create tong mirrored object. And gusto ko sa natin ma-retain yung both, so wag natin i-delete yung source object. So, no yung pipili natin. So, we have effectively mirrored. Pero, you can always just draw again, no, the projection line. Pwede din naman yun. It's just faster that way, no? Okay? Now, I can begin to trim. Pwede ko na i-trim to. Tama? Now, let's imagine kung ano ba yung shape ng object sa loob. So, should this line exist? Itong line na to. Tingin nyo. Dapat ba nandito tong line na to? If you're looking at it from this, tapos kinut nyo siya from the section plane, are these two separate objects or parang one plane lang siya na dire-diretso? It should be one plane lang, no? Kasi pagka pinutol nyo yan, ang mangyayari is, wala namang nagse-separate sa kanilang dalawa. So, dapat hindi nag-exist tong line na to. Ito, and ito. And now, ang kulang na lang natin is actually to hatch our objects now. Now, the problem, before we can hatch, kailangan kasi for hatching, it requires that you have what we call as, yung polylines. Kasi hatching only works for polylines. So, kailangan natin i-generate yung mga polylines for the areas na gusto natin i-hatch. And it makes it a lot easier, no? So, pwede natin gawin is, because we know na from this point, itong area na to, ito, this will be a hatched area. Tama? Kasi ito, completely touching the, section plane. Also, this one, this is a hatched area din. Ito, it's completely touching as well. And lastly, ito, hatched din to, dun sa dulo. Tama? And this is also hatched sa dulo. Okay? So, gagawin natin is, let's create polylines para mas madali yung hatching natin. So, for the two rectangles dito sa dulo, ito, pwedeng REC lang yung gagawin natin. So, we can do REC and we just, papatong lang natin kumbaga. Okay? So, another option is to, pwede namang i-ano natin, no? I-join yung lines, pero that will become harder because some of the lines are shared, no? So, kunwari, itong full length ng line na to is shared by this rectangle is shared by also this figure, no? So, it can be confusing kasi mag-ano pa tayo, para magsi-scissors pa tayo, parang cut at ano ba yung command na yun? Break at point, magbe-break at point pa tayo, then join later on. Better na lang na i-overlay na lang natin yung lines natin. Okay? So, in-overlay ko lang, nag-drawing lang ako ng new rectangle dito. So, if you look at the selection cycling tool, no, makikita nyo na may line dyan, may polyline din. So, nag-drawing lang ako ng rectangle on top. Tapos, ito din, drawing din ako ng rectangle on top. Okay? Tapos, dito naman, pwede nating i-drawing is, we just do a polyline, no? Polyline is PL. Tapos, ikot lang natin. So, we can go this point to this point. Then, just surround itong parang L shape na to. And para ma-ensure na close siya, you can just do, pagka nasa end na kayo, instead of clicking this one, pwedeng i-press nyo lang C to close, enter. And this becomes, if you select it, closed object na siya. It's a closed polyline. Okay? You do it for the other portion, polyline. Ito. Do it all around. And dito ata ako nag-start, no? So, pwede ko i-C, close. And just to check, i-highlight ko lang siya. Tama naman. Naka-polyline naman siya. Right? So, again, kaya natin ginawa yon, it's in preparation for the hatching na gagawin natin. Kasi hindi natin ma-hatch effectively siya kapag hindi closed yung area na i-hatch natin. Okay? So now, ang command for hatching is pressing the H command. H is hatch. Ito, H. Tapos, merong lalabas dito na a bunch of options, no? I'm not sure if lumalabas to every time or sa first time mo lang isa-set up siya. Pero I know na, alam ko pag first time lang isa-set up, tapos the next few commands na mag-hatch kayo, it adopts the old na commands. Old settings or the previous settings na pinili nyo. So, ang gagawin natin is, pipili tayo ng pattern. Ang pattern na pipiliin natin is ANSI 31. So, naalala nyo, di ba, ang general purpose was ANSI 31. Hanapin nyo lang siya, and you can see na ANSI 31 na ganyan. So, it says here 0, meaning lang nun kasi ANSI 31 starts at 45 degrees. So, pagka 0 yung nilagay nyo, naka 45 siya. If you want to add, magdadagdag kayo, kunwari, if you need, 60 degrees, then you just add 15. So, yung nandito na angle, again, it's specifically for the additional angle na gusto nyo pa doon sa ANSI 31. If it's 0, 45 siya. Okay? Tapos, if you want to reduce the angle, pwedeng negative number yung i-input nyo dito. So, for example, if 30 yung kailangan nyo, pwede kayong mag-negative 15. So, I think, okay na to by default, and hindi ko alam kung yung scale paano kung probably we will mess around with the scale later on, no? Pero I think okay na to. Tapos ang gagawin natin is let's select objects, no? So pwede naman pala mag-pick points. So dati parang wala ata to dati sa dating version, no, yung kaya nyo mag-select ng points. Pero since we've already gone through the trouble of creating the polylines, ito na pipiliin natin. Add select objects. Okay, so click lang natin siya and let's just select the object that we want to hatch. So ito, select natin siya. Select the polyline. Tapos select din natin to. Select natin ito. Na-select ko ba to? Polyline. And ito. So, I've selected everything and I just press enter, no? And press OK. And masyadong maliit yung polyline natin. So, mukhang masyadong maliit yung 1 na scale, no? Now, notice how isang line lang lumitaw. It's because masyadong malaki yung scale. So, we can do control 1 para pwede natin baguhin yung scale niya. Let's do ito dito sa pattern. Gawin natin, try natin 0.1. Lumitaw na siya pero maliit pa rin. So, let's do 0.05. Masyado pa rin maliit, no? Baka 0.01. Masyado namang to. 0.3 or 0.2. I think 0.2 works, no? Pwede yan. So, ayan yung final answer natin. And that's how you do hatchings. Tapos, if you do, so kunwari, if we do a random rectangle dito, and we select the rectangle and press H, mangyayari is, hindi pala. Wait, sorry. H. Lumalabas na siya lagi, no? Dati kasi hindi siya ganito, no? Anyway, okay lang. Mas mabuti na yun na lumalabas lagi yung option, no, para at least alam nyo yung pinipili nyo yung scale. So ito, we have successfully created the sectional view. Pero meron pa siyang kulang dito, no? Kasi ang kulang dito is the center line. Tama? Kulang pa tayo ng center line. So kailangan natin maglagay ng center line. And the command for center line is, I think it's center. Walang shortcut siya, no? Or C-line ba? C-line? Hindi. Mukhang kailangan nyo i-type yung buong The whole command is center line. Yan. Sobrang haba ng command, no? Wala siyang shortcut. Tapos, select the first line. So, first line here means kung ano yung line na ka-createan nyo ng center line in between of. So, for example, we are selecting the left side and the right side. Kumbaga. So, I can choose this line. Ito yung first line ko. So, I'm choosing the line, not the polyline. And I can choose this other line right here. Again, I'm selecting the line and not the polyline. And it should create the center line. Pero masyadong mahaba ata. Let me do that again, no? Check ko nga to. Masyadong malaki. So again, center line. Select this object, the line, and this one. Again, the line yung pipiliin natin. And siguro, baguhin na lang natin yung niya. Okay, kasi masyadong malaki yung extension, no? It's because yung scaling natin, iba kasi yung scaling ng masyadong maliit yung object. So, this will define the extension. So, instead of 3.5, pwede siguro po 0.35 yung ita-type natin. Ito din, 0.35. So, the extension makes more sense. Tapos, doon sa properties, line type scale natin, I think we should adopt the same. Ano yung pinili natin? 0.02? And we have this one. Kaso masyado namang madami. Usually, we just want the pattern na small, large, small, large. So, pwede sigurong lakihan natin to. You can do 0.1. Hindi. 0.05. 0.05 works, no? So, if you look at 0.05, ito yung gusto natin. Na nakaano siya. Again, ang goal natin is large, small, large. Okay? So, again, if you want to copy my properties, ito siya. Ang pinili ko is for line type scale, it's 0.05. For the extensions, I typed 0.35 and another 0.35 sa other side. Okay? So, this looks correct, no? Pag ganyan. And again, you can do the same command doon sa kabila. Try natin. Center line again. Pipiliin natin to. Again, when you're choosing center lines, dapat line yung pipiliin nyo, no? Hindi yung mismong polyline. So, ito, line. Ito, masyadong malaki. Adjust na lang natin. I think we can do match properties, no? I-match lang natin to. Kailan pa i-adjust tong scale na to. Okay lang yan. Mamaya i-adjust natin. Sige, ngayon natin i-adjust. 0.01 siguro to. No, 0.03. 0.03 works for this one. And we can do, again, another center line. This portion, let's do line. Tapos ito naman, let's do another line. And again, ito, kasi we know that this is the correct na, properties. Pwedeng gawin ko, match property na lang, MA. Tapos select ko tong line na to. Para magbago siya. And it looks correct. Okay? So again, importante ito class, no? The center lines are important because it shows you na curved yung surface. Kasi if there were no center lines here, pwede mo i-argue na baka hindi to curved na surface, itong nandito. Baka pwedeng i-argue na yung nandito is actually a square na hole siya. Tama? Pero we know, based on this drawing, that it's a circular hole siya. So kaya siya curved dapat yung surface. And if it's a curved surface, we need to show the center line. Final answer should look like this. So, I'll give you a few minutes not to catch up. Pero again, we'll go a little bit faster today, no? Kasi again, we have the recording and you can always review the recording if you need more time, no? Okay? Sige. If you need help, just raise your hand. Siguro 5 minutes, ikot ako. Yung extension line class, yung start and end, it's just the distance between, ito lang. Ito lang siya. So kung gusto nyo consistent, pwede naman 0.35 lahat. Or kung gusto nyo, pwede nyo siyang litan or lagyan. Pero doon sa slides natin, meron naman siyang recommended na distance ng extension line. Okay? Tama na ba to? Again, we don't need to draw this section, no? Itong part na to. Hindi na natin kailangan i-drawing kasi these are images or kumbaga features that are behind. And again, walang hidden lines when it comes to doing sectional views. Okay? Double check ko lang dun sa medyo check lang ako alam ko may recommended na distance of the extension line. Center line. Parang wala ata dito sa slides na to. Anyway, hindi naman super strict. As long as it makes sense, no, and pasok naman sa area, okay lang yun. Basta hindi lang super laki, no. Ito naman, this is a good distance. As long as, ang importante lang naman sa center line is that it overshoots the object lines, no. It's important that it overshoots because this is actually for dimensioning as well, no? Kasi if you try to dimension this, usually center to center distance yung hinahanap natin. So, actually, ang kailangan natin is itong dim linear. So, usually, pag sinesection natin to, we do something like this, no? And again, masyado maliit yung scale natin, 0.97 siya. Pero, ito, 0.97. So, mukhang yung, inattach natin, dapat pala pagka nag-a-attach tayo, scale up na natin, no? Like 100. Siguro, scale natin siya 100 para pagka nag-drawing tayo ng objects, nasa normal scale na siya. Sige, gawin natin siya sa second page. Para to, okay na to for the first one. And I'll teach you the 3D method kung paano natin siya gagawin. And feeling ko ma-surprise kayo or matutuwa kayo kapag nagawa nyo yung 3D method, parang sobrang mas mabilis siya, no? Okay? So, let's try to do the 3D method. And for the 3D method, kailangan muna natin siyang gawa ng 3D model. So, it's important to do the 3D model. So, let's do... Ako, again, gusto ko lang iniikot siya muna, no? Para lang may sense of scale ako. And before that pala, let's copy the distance first. Let's do... Ito. Pwede siguro ito. Copy ko na yung distance ito. So, if I create a circle from here to here, that's my entire circle, no? Ito yung baseline. Tapos, pwedeng I can copy... I have this circle right here. Lipat ko lang siya closer. Pwede ko siguro copy din tong yung height, no? Copy ko lang yung height. Dito. Tapos, lagay ko lang siya sa... let's enable quadrant. Quadrant. Ito. Lagay ko lang siya dito sa corner. Ganyan. So, kaya ko siya ginawang ganyan kasi what I plan to do is gusto ko i-rotate itong circle na to. Let's do rotate. 3D rotate. 3D rotate. Tapos, ikot natin by the green axis ng 90 degrees para nakatayo na siya. So, kaya ko ginawang ganito para may basis na ako for distances dito. I can create a line, no? And from that line, pwede ko na mag-press pull to upwards. Dire-diretso. So, it's an easy way to do it, no? Kasi, we don't have the distances kasi if you look at the reference image, wala kasi tayong distances, no? So, we'll have to do a bunch of circles tapos Okay? For me, this is the easiest way to do it, no? Just copy the circle, then rotate nyo lang yung circle para tumayo siya. And so on and so forth. Okay? So again, ang ginawa ko lang is I created the first circle. na ang distance niya is or ang diameter niya is this one. Ito lang yung ginamit ko. Then the second circle was etong height na to. Kumbaga kinopya ko lang. And because it's a height, ang ginawa ko is nung kinopya ko siya dito, ni 3D rotate ko lang siya. Kumbaga pinatayo ko lang yung circle na yun. Then from the quadrant, lagay lang ako ng line kasi ang gagawin ko ngayon is I'll do press pull. Hihilain ko kasi to up until this line. So without even knowing the distances, no, I can now pull the lines. And let's do siguro hidden ulit. Parang ganyan. So that's my first baseline na circle. Okay? Now let's copy the other circle distance again. Itong mas maliit naman. I'll just take it from this side. Tapos, kopyahin natin siya. Ito. This is the top circle, no? And if I can select it, the circle. Lipat natin siya papunta sa I'll have to move this, no? So I'll use the move command. And nakaselect ba yung center? Center pala. Center must be selected, no? So I'll do a move command. Tapos ito ipapatong ko lang on top. I'll just rotate it. Lipat ko siya dito on top. So, again, hinover ko lang over the circumference of the circle para lumitaw yung center niya para pwede ko siya ipatong like so. Now, I'll do the same technique as before. Kokopyahin ko yung distance ng height niya. Kumbaga ito, this height right here. Tapos ito, itong circle na to, lilipat natin siya. I'll use the move command para mas accurate. I'll do move, take it by its center, tapos lipat ko siya dito sa quadrant ng panibagong circle na to. Parang ganyan. So if you look at it from the para 3D view or isometric view, para siyang ganito. I'll remove the first circle na para hindi kayo malito. So parang ganyan siya. So ito again, itatayo lang natin ulit siya. So I can do 3D rotate. I'll rotate it by the green axis, no? Tapos, rotate natin siya ng 90 degrees again para tumayo siya. So, we have something that looks like this. Tama? And again, I'll just draw a line from this circle. Ito. Itong quadrant niya. Diretso natin akyat. If I can find the quadrant of this other circle. Pero siguro ganyan. Hindi ko na nahanap to. Ulitin ko lang, ha. Ba't ko siya... Naka-on ba yung intersection ko? On din ng quadrant. Hindi niya nahanap, no? Probably because naka ano, no. Pwede ko sigurong gawin is I'll change the UCS. I'll specify a or pwede naman gawin ko na lang is sa view na lang, no. So we can do dito view. Tapos I'll just go to the right side view. Para ganyan. Para pwede ko na i-drawing tong line na to, no. From this quadrant, diretso siya papunta sa... And I can trim. Hopefully, kaya siya i-trim. Yan, trim natin. Okay? So again, I need the line, no, kasi when I do press pull, kailangan ko kasi ng point of reference. Unless you want to memorize the numbers, no. Pero ako, gusto ko na may reference para pwedeng i-pull up ko na lang siya. So when I do press pull now, itong inner circle, pwede ko siya i-press pull hanggang sa dulo ng line na ginawa ko kanina. Like so. And I should have something that looks like this. Parang ganyan. Okay? So, yun yung first natin na ano. Tapos, let's create another circle. Ito naman, itong inner, oh sorry, Balik muna tayo sa, world coordinate system ulit tayo. Let's take this distance. Ito na yung butas. Tapos, ito naman, let's just move this. Grab it by its base point. Tapos, lagay lang natin on top of the, ito. Parang ganyan siya. Para, pwede kong i-press pull itong circle na to, diretso pababa. So, I have created a hole. Parang ganyan. Okay? So, just create a circle on top. Tapos, diretso yung butasan siya. Again, this would be much easier, no? If we had numbers. Parang kung alam natin yung mga numbers na to, kunwari, itong distance na to, sobrang mas madali natin ma-type lang yung no? Pero since we don't have numbers, ang gagawin natin is a bunch of circles lang, tapos 3D rotate lang. Pero again, if you don't want to do the 3D rotate technique, another technique you can do is to measure the distance. Gawin nyo siyang ganyan, measure the distance, tapos i-memorize nyo na lang yung number. Kunwari ito, ang circumference niya is 0.4186, or sorry, ang radius niya is 0.4186, pwede nyo i-memorize lang yun. Tapos i-type na lang when you're press pulling. Pwedeng gano'n, no? That is also a viable option. Okay? Tapos, ang gawin natin is, ang next natin kailangan is the circular holes, no? So, pwede gawin natin is, let's find the center first, ito. So, we can do from this corner to this one. Lipat natin to. Let's move it. This circle right here. Let's move it by its center. Tapos, ilipat natin siya dito sa quadrant ng natin. Kung mahanap natin ng quadrant, no? Ito ba yung quadrant? I'm not quite sure. Dito. Nandito yung quadrant. Itong symbol ng quadrant, to. Tama? Or, more appropriately dito. Parang ganyan. Tama? So, it's at one of the quadrants. Tapos, let's find the, kasi ito, center pa lang to, no? Kumbaga, location pa lang to ng center. So, if I connected this line, papunta dyan, itong point na to, itong end point na to, is the center point. So, ang need natin is the distance, the diameter of the hole itself. So, I get this distance. And again, I use the move command, no? So, normally, di ba, ang ginagawa natin is we just grab it by the center tapos minumove around lang natin. Pero since we are dealing with different levels na, no? Maraming levels na kasi to. Kunwari, ito yung ground floor, kumbaga. Tapos ito yung first floor, second floor, third floor. Pagka ganon, mas appropriate na move command yung gamitin nyo. Because move command allows you to traverse the z-axis. So, kaya dito, pagka gusto kong select to, and I'll use the move command, grab it by center, tapos ililipat ko siya dito sa define kong point kanina. Eto. Move ko siya dito. And now I have created the hole. Now I can repeat the process for the entire thing. No? Sige, habol muna kayo kasi I'll teach you a new command. May bagong command tayo. It's called array command. No? Maganda yung array. Pero sige. Nasundan ba? Pili ko nasundan nyo naman. Yan. Sige, habol kayo. Dapat nakatrade tayo ng base. At meron tayong cylinder sa on top of the base. Tapos binutasan natin sa loob. If masipag kayo, pwede namang ulitin nyo lang yung steps for all the holes. Hanapin nyo yung quadrants. Pwede naman. Sige, ituturo ko yung new command na to. This is called the array command. And what array does is it creates a repeating pattern based on the type of symmetry na gusto nyo. So, what we'll do is, we'll type in array, select the objects, itong circle lang naman gusto natin i-repeat, press enter, tapos, pipiliin natin is a polar array kasi gusto natin siyang umiikot around a center, no? So, polar tayo, select the center, gusto nating center is actually the center of this circle, no? Ito. So, be careful. I'm hovering over this circle kasi gusto ko center nito. And I think ito siya ata siya. Wait, sa bottom ata to. Ito ata yung center niya. Tama ba? Tapos, pipili ako ng number of times na gusto ko siyang ulitin. So, I'll choose 4. So, number of items is 4. Yan. And, tama ba? And, I check close array. Tapos, if you look at the top view, automatic, nag-create na siya ng 4 around. So, it's a powerful tool, no? So, you can use array command. Especially if it's repeating around an axis, no? Right? So, ulitin ko lang just to show you again. Let's do again. Let's do array command. Array is ARRAY. Select the object we want to repeat. In this case, the circular hole. Press enter. Let's choose polar kasi again, we are rotating it about a polar na axis. Tapos, select the center of the polar axis we want. So, we can select this one, hover over, and I think it's this center, no? Ito yung center ng yung circle na yun. Okay? Now, may lalabas dyan. By default, 6 ata yung default talaga number of items. So, we change the number of items. Instead of 6, we do 4. Tapos, automatic mag-update naman yan siya. Pagka happy na kayo, you can just close array. And now, you have this one. So, now that you have this, you can press pull individually, no? And let me just delete the other lines para hindi siya maka-affect sa press pull. So, I'll press pull this one, dire-diretso, butas pababa. Ito rin, butas pababa. And lastly, ito. And now, I have created this one. So, ito na yung object natin in space. Okay? And let's see if one object lang naman siya. I go hide objects. Pwede kung, ito yung mga guidelines na ginamit natin, no? Sobrang daming guidelines. Pwede actually natin i-delete na to kasi hindi natin siya kailanganin. Let's just delete these objects. Ito. Tapos, end object isolation. And you can see, ito na yung clean object natin in space. Okay? So, now that we have our object, this is where the layout tab and your inventor plugin comes in handy, no? Kasi sobrang bilis natin makaka-create ng sectional view. So, if you go into layout tab, let's just delete the viewport, default viewport. Tapos, gawin natin is, I'll change my color to blue para mas kita siya dito sa paper space. Gagawin natin is, let's do layout. Tapos, lagay lang tayo ng view base. So, from model space ulit tayo. And we'll select probably front muna and top view, no? Kasi yun yung view na binigay sa atin. So, masyado maliit to. So, I'll do 20:1. 20:1. Pwede siguro 25:1. Yan. So, I'll select this one. This is the front view. Ay, sorry. Before I do that, kailangan change standards. Always change standards, no? Third angle projection tayo. Okay, so again, view base from model space. 25:1 tayo. Select the front view. Then, select the top view. Tapos, hindi ko kailangan yung isometric. Okay na to. I press enter. So, So I have something that looks like this. So typical lang naman to, no? Yung multi-view projection natin. What's new here is etong section. So if you look at the create view group, meron sang section na icon, no? So what we'll do is we'll create a full section. So full section natin, select the parent view of the full section. Based on the drawing, ang parent view niya dito is, if you look at the original drawing natin, no? Parang ginawa natin is balik muna tayo sa yellow para kita. If you look at the yung ginawa natin is, let's do wireframe. Ginawa natin yung sectional view from the top view, no? Doon tayo nagkaroon ng section line, tapos doon natin siya pinroject. So which means that the parent view for the section view is the top view. So pagka pinapili kayo, so if I do again, layout, section, full, tapos select the parent view, dito tayo sa top view. Okay? Now, let's select the section. Yung section line natin, gusto kasi natin i-create siya diretso dito. So, kung sa anong tatamaan ng section view, yun yung mapaproduce niya na sectional view, no? So, ang gusto natin is, pwede natin i-create siya from here, eto, sa quadrant na to, all the way doon sa kabilang quadrant. So, we can do quadrant from here to this opposite corner. Tapos, gusto natin, we created it from this line of sight, no? Pero pwede naman dito ninyo i-create. Sorry. You can create it to the right or you can create it to the left. Pero based on what we did, we created it to the right, no? So, dito natin siya ilalagay. And if we press enter, automatic, automatic nagagawa na yung sectional view, no? So, it's quite fast. Kulang na lang dito is center lines, no? So, for some reason, I'm not sure if may option na ilagay siya, no? Projection, depth, annotations, parang wala. So, I think we'll have to do the section lines manually, no? Pero, center lines manually. Pero it's just as easy as entering center line command. So, I'll just select this line and this line. Tapos, nandito yung section lines natin. And, I'll change layer properties again to blue para mas kita, litaw. Yan yung section line. I'll do center line again. And the good thing about kung nasa paper space kayo, maganda na yung scaling niya. Although dito kailangan i-adjust konti. Control 1. Ito, i-adjust ko lang to, control 1. Baka i-0.5 ko lang dito. 0.5 works, no? Tapos I'll do again another center line. This line to this line. And let's do match properties na lang. Ito, MA. Select natin yung line na to. And it copied the command. So ito, this is the completed na sectional view. Again, it's much easier to do, no? Pag meron kayo 3D model, automatic na nakikreate. Again, if you're using Mac, unfortunately, walang walang inventor kasi sa Mac. So you have to do this manually using 2D methods. So, although, wait lang parang wala ata talaga. Meron ba? Wait lang. Ano nga yung ginamit natin? Solve view, no? Solve view. Meron. Solve view. Sige, try natin. Feeling ko mag-work to. Sige, for Mac users, tuturuan ko kayo ng technique. It's a little bit more tedious, no? Pero this applies for both Mac and Windows. Pero if you're using Windows, view-based na gamitin nyo. Pero if you're using Mac, I'll teach you the other way of doing it. So I'll just delete this. I'll do it in a new view. Gagawin natin is, let's do solve view. Create tayo ng solve view muna. And let's create UCS view muna dito. And let's just do world. Tapos, scale natin 25, no? Sabi natin kanina 25:1. Tapos, lagay lang natin somewhere dito. Lagay natin off to the sides. Ganyan. Siguro this one. Yan. Then press enter. Then you select your viewport pag ganyan. Tapos let's enter the name of this view. I'll call it top. And it's important na yung view name nyo is descriptive siya kasi later on sa layer properties when we're adjusting i-label kasi niya yung bawat layer based on the name of the view that you've chosen, no? So, I'll name it top para mas descriptive siya. So, top. Then, next, pwede siguro wag na tayo maggawa ng ano, no? Hindi na siguro natin kailangan yung front view. Pero if you want, you can do ortho. Select this side. Then, piliin nyo siya dito. Closer. Or, ganyan siguro. Or, ganyan. Press enter. Then, again, ito, hindi nagmamatter masyado to, no, kasi ang gagawin naman natin is i-hide natin yung parang boundaries ng ano natin, viewports. Press enter. Tapos, view name natin, let's call it front, no? Front. Okay? Then, next is section natin siya. So, let's select the first point of the cutting plane. Pipiliin natin and let's enable what should we enable? Endpoint tsaka quadrant siguro. Yan. So let's select this point and let's select this point. That's our section view and we want to view it from this angle, no? Dito sa kabila, sa right side. So click natin to. Enter view scale 25 is fine. Tapos lagay natin kung saan natin siya ilalagay yung section view. Pwede sigurong somewhere dyan. Yan, okay na to. Press enter. And specify the viewport. Name the view. I'll just call this section. And okay na tayo. Let's press escape. And we have created the section views now. Although, hindi ganun kaganda yung ano niya na create. And para ma-finalize to, we use the command solve draw, no? Solve draw. Select everything. Press enter. Tapos, i-drawing niya ng ganyan. So, kumbaga, if-flatten out niya. To make it cleaner, let's remove the grid lines for each of the views. Remove the grid lines. Tapos, ito, medyo pangit lang siya tingnan kasi hindi pa siya properly formatted, no? So, kunwari, ito, yung instead of hatch lines, ang lumabas black. Ang pwede nyo gawin is go to layer properties. Hanapin nyo siya. So, ito siya. Dim means the dimensions. Hid means hidden. Vis means visible lines. So, hanapin nyo siya. Babaguhin nyo. Kunwari, dito sa front view, dapat may broken line dyan, di ba? So, dapat yung sa front ko, front, hidden, baguhin ko to, instead of continuous, bagawin natin siya into hidden. And dapat magiging hidden na dito sa front view siya. Okay? So, kaya medyo tedious siya for Mac users, no? Pero it's doable. You can still create it. Dito naman, try natin i-edit. Layer properties, tinitle natin ito as section, di ba? Section, hat is the hatch lines. Instead of continuous, pipiliin natin siya with... Wait lang. Baka masyado lang... I'm not sure if... How do we edit the... I don't know. The section view. Let me double check now. Ito kasi yung hat is the hatch lines. Try nga natin litan yung lines. Would it affect? Hindi rin. Try natin. Wala siya. Try ko ano na. Hindi ko pa alam, no, kung paano siya i-change kasi black lang siya. Ito. Naka-solid pala. Okay. Select lang nyo lang pala kasi it's considered as a hatch line, no? Okay. So that makes it much simpler. Kaso mukhang na-delete ko. Ulit. Na-soldro ko ba? Soldro ko lang ulit, Ayan. Tapos ito. This should be selectable, no? Yan. ANSI 31. You can change it, no? ANSI 31. Tapos, I think this is scale ba to? Scale. So, 0.1. 0.05. Yan. Yan, pwede naman. You can, for Mac users, you can do it, no? Pero at this point, sa dami ng ginawa, nag 2D na lang kayo dapat, no? Baka mas mabilis kung nag 2D method na lang kayo for Mac users, no? So, but it is possible, no, to create. And if you want to make this a little cleaner, pwede nyo siyang ilagay lahat, again, eto, lagay natin siya lahat into the viewports layer. Naka-viewports naman siya. Tapos yung viewports, i-hide nyo lang siya, turn off, para mawala yung parang black boundary, no? And you have something that looks like this, which is comparable naman ang results with this one. Ito nga lang, parang a few clicks lang na-produce na natin siya as compared to yung sa old school method, which is solve view and solve draw. So it has a lot of steps now. Again, you can just review. Again, unfortunately, sa Mac users, hanggang ngayon, no, parang nag-submit na ako ng ticket 2024 ata yun eh. Complaining na wala siya sa... iba pala yung nireklamo ko doon. Pero anyway, matagal ng issue siya. Parang nagsascour ako sa Reddit forums. Sinecheck ko kung sa Mac ba nagkaroon na ng inventor. Hanggang ngayon, wala pa rin. Hindi ko alam kung bakit wala silang inventor plugin. No? Pero yun. You can do solve view, solve draw. And it produces the same crisp lines, no? If you do it correctly. Okay? So, let's do another one. Next tayo. What's the next one? Gawa tayo. By the way, ito, if you look at the space, no? Model space, you'll notice na meron siyang na-produce na mga lines. Ito dito. This is the result of solve draw and solve view. So, si solve draw kasi is, ginagawa niya is, dinodrawing niya mismo sa model space yung lines na yon. So, kumbaga nagpo-project siya mismo ng mga lines. Kaya nagkaroon ng mga extra lines na ganito. Kasi I did solve draw. Tapos nagkaroon din ako ng extra lines for the sectional view na viewable dito sa model space natin. As compared to your view base, sa view base kasi it does not exist in the model space. Strictly paper space lang si view base, which makes it the more modern tool talaga. No? Okay? So, let's start with a new file ulit. Para lang mas malinis, let's create a new file. Tapos, let's do insert, attach. Tapos, sectional view ulit. This time, page 3 yung gagawin natin. Pero, ang gawin natin is, let's scale this up, no, para hindi tayo magka-problema. Scale up na natin to. Let's do scale. And let's scale it by, kasi kanina, nung scale up natin to 25:1, maganda yung itsura, no? So, I think the proper scale would be 25. So, kumbaga, i-multiply lang natin by 25 yung size. Okay? So, if we do 25, I think the numbers will make sense here, no? Try lang natin if we measure. Eto, this has a radius of 40 units. So, mukhang mas nagme-make sense, no? Pagka times 25 natin. Okay? So, scale it up to 25 para hindi na tayo magpo-problema doon sa no? Scale down pa tayo sa line type scale natin, etc., etc. So, hidden lines should work perfectly. Hatch lines would also work perfectly if we do the scale right now. Okay? So, ito, this sort of problem, hindi ko na siya, you can do a sketch. Oh, sorry. Ano nangyari? Okay, you can do a sketch of this. Pwede naman i-sketch nyo muna siya before doing the problem itself. Pero, just by looking at it, no, parang, hindi ko alam kung nakikita nyo rin yung nakikita ko, pero, it should look like a sort of, parang siyang bathtub. Tama ba? Parang bathtub, nasa gitna, meron kang nakaangat na na parang tube. Tapos yung tube na yon is dire-diretso yung butas niya papunta doon sa base ng yung floor. Ito. Dire-diretso yung butas. Etong line na to, nag-exist lang kasi meron kang line dito. Kumbaga yung parang base ng interior ng bathtub. Tama? Tapos, etong hole na to is para siyang butas from the right side of the sort of bathtub, no? So, itong right side na to. Tama? So, hopefully mas na-imagine nyo siya. So, ang gagawin natin is full section tayo dito. Pero since this is just another full section of the object, try natin 3D methods na lang. Purely 3D method tayo dito. Huwag na tayong gumawa ng 2D method. Okay lang ba yun? Or mas gusto nyo i-reiterate ko yung 2D? Ano yung preferred nyo? 3D na diretso? Sige, diretso tayo 3D. So, gusto natin diretso 3D. Let's create the sort of bathtub first, no? How do we create the bathtub? Kasi may fillet tayo dito, no? Hindi natin alam yung radius. We'll probably need to estimate. Sige. Gawin natin is, let's just draw 2 rectangles, no? And I think the easiest way is to draw it from here. Let me create. Lock ko muna to. Let's create lang ako ng new layer. I'll just say some answer. Tapos, just to differentiate it, color yellow yung pipiliin ko. Okay? So, let's just create a rectangle. Sorry. I'm in the wrong layer. Again, as I was saying, let's create a rectangle like so. I'm just estimating for now, no? Pero, again, if you're doing this on the plate, yung plate naman natin is fairly accurate naman. So, because it's done in AutoCAD, dapat siya. Move ko lang siya. Probably like, okay na siguro yan? Good enough to ba yan? Okay na yan. Wait lang, medyo na ako. Nagsasnap kasi siya sa, sige okay lang, i-oversize ko na lang ng konti pa. Ulitin ko lang. I'll create a line first para mas madali. I'll just create 2 lines first. Then I'll extend this line. Pwede siguro dito na lang. Para corner to corner. Para pwede ako mag-create ng rectangle from this corner punta sa kabila, no? Okay? And I can just erase itong excess line. Okay? Tapos, siguro easiest way dito is to create another rectangle na doon sa kabilang side naman. Doon sa gitna. Tapos, spanning the interior of the bathtub, no? So, for this, easiest way is to enable geometric center para pwede kong mahanap yung geometric center nitong first rectangle natin. So, we can do rectangle tapos find the geometric center. Tapos create lang natin to like so, parang ganyan, and we can mirror this 2 times siguro, parang yun yung easiest way na nakikita ko, no? So I can just do mirror line here, tapos mirror ulit natin siya, mirror line dito naman, pag ganyan. Yan na yung easiest, no? Then just trim it sa gitna. Probably the easiest way to do it, no? Okay? Or what you can do is pwede naman create nyo muna yung rectangle tapos i-align nyo na lang yung centers nila, no? Para equal yung padding niya around the sort of bathtub natin, no? Okay? So, any way you want to do it, you can do that, no? Okay? So, next natin is i-join muna natin to. Kasi naka-separate siya. Join lang muna natin kasi what we want to do is we do i-fillet kasi natin siya. So, estimate lang, tingnan ko lang muna kung ano yung radius nito. So, if I estimate, nasa 6. So, probably i-fillet natin ito ng 6, no? So, let's do fillet. Tapos, select the, fillet. Tapos, let's select polyline. Tapos, eto, select this polyline. Then, type in the radius. Sabi natin, fillet. Tapos, radius muna tayo. Then, type in 6. Then, select polyline. Tapos, click natin yung object natin. It's the polyline. And, mukhang okay naman, no? 6 looks good enough. Let me just delete the other guidelines, no? Ito. So, if you can look at it, parang okay yung 6, no? Na pinili natin. Ito siya. Now, let's do this one. If this is 6, baka half lang to, no? Maybe 3. Try ko lang, estimate lang. Hindi, mga probably 4. So, let's do a fillet of 4 dito sa interior circle natin. So, let's do, again, F. Select the object. And, F. Select the radius. Let's change it to 4. Change it again to polyline. Tapos, select nyo lang ito. And 4 fits nicely, no? Kung titignan nyo yung 4, maganda din siya. Okay? Tapos, lipat ko lang to. Ito na-create ko onto the right side. Lagay ko lang siya dyan. Tapos, bibigyan ko to ng height. Right? So, to give this some height, gagawin ko is, I can copy this distance. Ito. Or I can memorize. Pwede naman. It's 46.53. So, this is another option, no? Kung, kasi we're only estimating naman din dito, pwede namang i-estimate lang din natin yung size, no? So, if it's 46.67, we can say 46.6. Pwede naman, i-press pull na lang natin para hindi na tayo mag 3D rotate tong natin. Para hindi na tayo mag 3D rotate nung circle, pwede namang i-press pull natin this one to a height of 46.6. Pwede yan, no? You can do that. Pero pagka plate siya, you probably need to do the circle technique, no? Kasi kung plate, exact yung mga snapping points, eh. Pero kung plate siya, I would imagine na regular din yung mga numbers. Like, ang numbers na lumalabas doon is whole numbers, no? Or kung fractions man, it's easy to remember fractions. So, either way, you can use the circle method or pwede namang memorize the number na method. That makes sense. Okay? So, ito yung natin. And let's do, sige, okay na to. Parang ganyan, no? Tapos, ang need natin is i-press pull din to pataas. Tama? Kasi yung base, ito, currently, butas pa kasi ito, eh. So, if you do hidden, ito kasi, completely butas siya. Pero dun sa image natin, meron yung, parang meron siyang distance dito sa base. Kumbaga may padding yung sa baba ng bathtub natin. Okay? So again, punta lang tayo dito. Let's measure this one. We can memorize. We can copy this one. I'll just opt to memorize. This looks like 5.3. 5.3. So magpupull lang ako ng 5.3. So I'll press pull the center. Press pull ko lang to. This one by 5.3. Okay? So now, if I do 2D hidden, para siyang ganito, na merong base dito. And I'll have to combine this, no? Union natin. Press enter. Union. Press enter. Tama na yan. So, ito na siya. Hindi na siya completely butas. If I delete the polyline here, ito siya, na siya. Kumbaga, meron siyang basin. And if I do x-ray para mas makita nyo, x-ray, Yan siya. Kumbaga, meron talagang additional padding dun sa baba, no? Ito sa bathtub natin. Right? Next is, check natin ha. Meron siya dito sa gitna. Straight at the center, merong pipe. So, measure lang natin yung distance. Ito muna. This is around 10, no? Feeling ko 10 to. Saktong 10. Okay. Okay, I'll move the circle na ginawa ko. Patong ko lang siya on top of this one. Kung mahanap siya. And the center of this. So, tinatrack ko lang para mahanap ko yung center. You can do the diagonal technique or pwede namang drawing lang kayo ng line from midpoint to midpoint. Parang ganito. Para mahanap nyo yung center. You can do that, no? Para mahanap tong center na to. That's the big circle. Let's copy the smaller circle now. Siya. Lipat natin siya doon sa this one. Okay? Now, I can remove the guidelines, no? Let me just delete the guidelines. Let's press pull ko na lang to. Press pull. Ay, sorry. Hindi ko pa alam yung distance. Let's measure. Ito kasi yung height nung parang cylinder sa loob or yung pipe sa loob. It's around 14, no? And 14. This is faster way. Measure ko na lang. I-memorize ko na lang yung height niya. So, around 14. So, press pull ko na lang to. Press pull. Press pull. This one by 14. Okay? So, yan yung ano natin. And lastly, ang need na lang natin is itong parang butas na to, no? So, yung butas na to is at the center siya. Hanapin na lang natin yung, so if I find the center of this, if I find the center, to, ang distance niya is 11.2. So it's 11.2 yung distance niya from the topmost portion, no? So pwede kong copyin to. And I'll just look at the right side view. Wala. From here, measure tayo downwards ng line. And let's do hidden para mas ano. And I'll probably have dynamic UCS on para pwede kong i-select tong face na to. Para drawing lang ako ng line that is, anong sabi ko? 11.2, no? 11.2. Kasi itong circle na to, this time I'll have to 3D rotate this to 90. Yan. Para nakatayo na siya. And ito, lipat na lang natin doon sa butas na yun. Doon sa center. Yan. So, I can remove the line. And I'll do press pull. Sige, let's keep the line. Hindi naman siguro nakaka-apekto to sa press pull. Try natin, ha. Press pull. Dire-diretso lang butas. Sinusobrahan ko lang, no, para sure na mabubutas siya. And we can see, okay na yung butas niya. Alright? So, that's our shape. I'll just delete this first. Itong line na to. Then, this is one object though. Just to make sure, control 1. Check nyo lang, one solid siya. So, this is correct, no? If hindi siya one solid, you'll probably have to do union first, no? Before you proceed to next step. Pero para siyang ganyan. So, again, para siyang bathtub. Tapos, merong cylinder pipe or hollow pipe dito sa loob na pataas. Tapos, dito sa right side view. So, if this is your world coordinates, is the front view. Sa right side view, meron siyang butas. From 11.2 yung measure natin dito. Tapos dire-diretso lang na butas. Okay, so it should look something like this. So before I proceed to the next step, I'll allow you sa mga people F2F na humabol konti. Pero meron man nakagawa, no? Very good. Siguro mga 5 minutes. So again, pagka nag-3D method kayo, required na marunong kayo mag-3D model. Yun lang yung downside, no? If you opt to do 3D methods, kailangan marunong kayo mag-3D model para pag selection nyo siya, automatic na mag-produce yung sectional view. Pero, if you find it hard to 3D model kasi gusto nyo 2D lang lahat, pwede naman yun. Yun nga lang, kailangan marunong kayo mag-create ng 2D sections using projection lines lang. Okay? So, either method is acceptable. Kahit dun sa plate, I think both methods acceptable siya. Whether you do it 2D or 3D, papayagan siya. So, kayo na bahala mag-decide kung ano yung mas komportable kayo. Parang, wait lang double check ko. Check natin. Isa lang. Kasi walang hidden lines dito, no? So, isa lang yung butas. Okay? So, when you're done with the 3D model, pwede lang gawin natin is we just go to Layout tab. Tapos, delete lang natin yung ano. And, doon sa Layout tab, Again, always change the styles and standards, no, to third angle para, oops. Change lang natin, again, third angle projection tayo dito sa ES1. Tapos, nangyari. Sa punta lang kayo dito sa styles and standards. Ito. Click nyo lang to. Tapos, select nyo third angle lagi. Okay? Tapos, gawin natin is, let's create a view base. Ang given sa model was top view, no? So, ang parent natin should, by default is front, no? Pero, based on sa drawing, top tayo magsisimula. So, let's do top view. Parang ganyan. Dito. Press enter. Then, we had the side view. Like so. Right side view, no? Ang given. Yan. And let's double check. Tama naman, no? Na top view natin to. So, if you can look at it, tama. Top view at right side view yung pinakita. So, top view and right side view. And mukhang tama naman yung hidden lines natin. Ay, kaso... Ay, okay. Kulang pa pala. Hindi ko binutas siya, no? So, itong hole dito, kailangan ko butasin siya dire-diretso pababa. This one, butasin ko lang siya diretso pababa para this should now be correct. Okay. So, the good thing about view-based din pala class, no? Once you make edits to your model space, automatic actually siya nag-update, no? So, notice kanina, sige, Control-Z ko lang, ha? Control-Z. Kulang ako ng lines dito, tama? So, it's because hindi ko siya binutasan dito. So, no, when I do press pull, ito. Bubutasin ko siya. And I go to the layout tab, automatic magdadagdag siya ng new lines for me. Okay? So, that's the good thing about view-based. Okay? So, it looks the same. Meron pa bang mistakes? Let's just compare, no? Ito, hidden lines. I think, same lang naman. Okay? So now, gagawin natin is, let's create a section. So from layout, again, let's create a section. Full section yung gagawin natin. And, ang select natin na parent view is this one. Kasi nandito yung sectional plane na gusto natin i-drawing. So let's select this one. Now, our sectional plane runs from the center, the midway point of this line, papunta dun sa opposite corner niya dito. And now, we can create this one. Press enter. And we have successfully created the hidden lines. And ang kailangan lang natin is to just create the appropriate center lines. No? So, I'll just create this center line from here to here. And I'll change, ito, gawin ko lang, ito no. Another center line from this one to this one. Ito, adjust ko lang. Masyadong malaki pa rin yung line type scale. So, let me reduce 0.5 siguro. Yan, 0.5 works, no? 0.5. And ito, gawin natin match properties natin to. Papunta dito sa kabila. Doon sa center line. And, masyado maliit. Di pa rin kita, no? So, let's reduce 0.3 siguro. 0.3 works dito sa kabilang center line. Okay? So, both should have a center line, no? Kasi, again, curved surfaces kasi both, eh. Tama? This one is a curve because of the circular hole. Ito naman, curve because of the circular na pipe. Right? So, that's the fastest way to do it, no? Again, you can still produce the sectional views using 2D methods, pero it will be, I wouldn't say tedious din kasi parang mahirap din gumawa ng 3D model eh. So, it depends on your style na, no? Kayo magde-decide kung which one is more appropriate to you guys. Okay? Okay tayo dito? Okay, since full section lang naman to, I think we can proceed to the next na, no, para makakover tayo ng more topics, no? Okay? I'll open a new sheet again. Attach ulit tayo. Sectional view. Let's go to page 4 na tayo, no? And page 4 has two, dalawa yung ano niya, items. We have this one, and meron din tayo dito, align section. Again, scale natin. Scale. Tapos gawin natin 25, no? Yun yung ginawa natin 25 times para realistic na yung mga numbers na nakukuha natin. Alright? So, let's do offset section first. And for offset section, gusto ba natin gawin to in 2D or 3D? Itong offset section, it's very close to full section lang naman. So, I think more appropriate na mag 3D tayo dito sa offset. Tapos, for aligned, since si aligned is, ito talaga yung may, may mga unique na techniques pang bagong ituturo. So, for aligned, let's do 2D and 3D. Pero, offset, diretso 3D na tayo dito. Okay? So, for the offset section, ano ba tong itsura nito? It's like a it's a simple, parang simple shape lang din to, no? If you notice, para siyang rectangular block lang. Tapos doon sa rectangular block na yon, meron siyang butas of this profile na parang oblong, or ano ba tawag dito? Rounded na rectangle, which creates this hole. Tapos doon sa kabilang side, para siyang butas na merong 2 levels. Parang ganun, no? So, if you could imagine, para siyang, ano pa tawag dito? Well, kung metallurgical engineer kayo, and nag-learn na kayo ng casting, this looks like a down screw, no? Tama ba? May mga meti ba dito? Narinig nyo na ba yung down screw? So, para siyang down screw. Parang ito yung pouring basin, tapos ito yung down screw. Parang ganyan, yung itsura niya. Parang funnel. Parang ganun. Na dito ka maglalagay ng liquid metal, tapos magpa-funnel down siya pababa. Essentially, butas to. So, may parang basin sa taas, tapos merong dire-diretso na cylindrical hole after the basin. Tama, no? Same ba tayo ng imagination? Nag-agree ba kayo doon? Hindi ko na isa-sketch, no? Gusto mo ba i-sketch ko pa? Or okay na? Kaya? Sige, I'll assume na kaya nyo siya. So, again, parang rectangular prism lang siya. Tapos, bubutasan lang natin. So, it's as easy as that, no? So, let's start with, ano muna? The rectangular prism muna. Easiest way is, again, layers muna ako, no? Let's do layers. I'll create a new layer. Lock ko lang tong 0 layer ko, no? Create the new layer. Let's just call this answer. And again, as per usual, igawin natin siyang yellow. Okay? The profile is just this rectangle, no? So I can just follow this profile here, or the plan view. Ito. Tapos, lipat ko lang dito. And ipa-press pull ko lang by this amount. Mukhang easier nga na i-memorize lang yung numbers, no? Ito, this is 31.59. I'll just say 31.6. So, press pull ko lang siya by 31.6. Tama? So, ito. Let's press pull this by 31.6. Okay? Next is, unahin natin itong butas na to. Tama? Let's create this hole here. Tapos, saka natin i-press pull, diretso pababa. Okay? Tama. So, this one, I'll just set up some guidelines, no? So, parang nandito siya. And I'll just do corner to corner na guidelines, no? Para pwede akong gumawa ng rectangle from one corner to another. Ayan, pwede ko i-delete na to. Okay? Parang ganyan. Tapos, same as before, i-fillet lang natin to, no? Pero let's get an estimate of the radius. Yeah, look at this. This seems to be 5 point, maybe 5.2, no? There's a more accurate way of doing this. Pwede tayo mag-geometric constructions actually, no? Pero mukhang, based dito, mukhang sagad niya yung radius, no? So, kung isasagad natin to, the way we do that is we actually divide this by 2, no? Ito, divide natin siya by 2. So, if it's 10.35, divide that by 2. Ano ba 10.35 divided by 2? Let's do 5.17. So, let's do 5.17. Yun yung radius natin. Okay, so let's do radius. Fillet. Type in the radius of 5.17. Then, let's select polyline para lahat i-fillet na niya. Okay? So, you'll notice na naka-fillet na to. Okay? Now, we can transfer this. Lipat lang natin siya dito. But we'll need the distance, no? So, let's get this distance. Ito. Easiest way to get the distance, we can just take it from here, no? Itong distance na to, from the corner. Para pwedeng i-copy natin to, move it by this corner. Tapos lipat lang natin siya directly dito. Tama? So, that's an easy way to do it, no? Para mahanap nyo agad yung location niya. Right? So, if I delete the rectangle, I should have something that looks like this. Tapos, press pull lang. Press pull lang, diretso, pababa. Ito. Okay? Ito siya. That's the first one. Next is itong next, no, yung parang may basin tapos may parang circular na hole na dire-diretso. Okay? So gawin natin is again, copy lang natin yung profile, no? So ito. We can, of course, ang more accurate way to do this talaga is to do geometric constructions, no? Ang gagawin nyo is perpendicular lines. Ganyan. Nalala nyo pa ba to? Yan, geometric construction. That's the fastest way to do it. Parang gagawa tayo ng geometric construction so that accurate yung gawa natin na circles. Pero, yan, since sinatamad tayo, pwede naman estimate lang muna natin to. Estimate lang natin. That's the first circle. The second circle will be somewhere dito. Parang ganyan. Tapos, para mahanap natin agad yung location niya, we just do a rectangle from this corner. Papunta dun sa center. Parang ganyan. So now, if I select all three objects, ito. Tapos itong three objects na to, lipat ko na lang siya, hold it by its corner using the move command. Hold it by this corner. Ito. Itong corner na to, lipat natin dun sa corner sa prism natin. So if I move it, hold it by that corner, lipat natin dito, I have now ascertained the exact location of this one. So that's the easiest way to do it. Tapos pwede ko i-delete lang tong rectangle na to, no? Kasi pang mark lang yung rectangle na yun. So ito siya. Now it's just a matter of press pulling, no? The first hole is press pull siya by dire-diretso pababa. Press pull siya dire-diretso pababa. The second hole, yun dito, is by a certain amount lang. And that certain amount is, measure natin, it's 7.7. So, yung second hole, itong para sa basin, press pull lang natin ng 7.7. 7.7. And we have created something that looks like this. And we can delete the extra circle dito, no, para mas malinaw. And let's change to hidden. Parang ganito siya. Yan yung itsura niya. Ito yung sinasabi kong parang basin. Na parang may basin siya, tapos doon sa loob ng basin, may dire-diretsong butas. Tapos dito naman, dire-diretso lang. Okay? And I'll show it in X-ray para mas makita nyo. Parang ganyan siya. That's the X-ray version. Okay? So, I'll give you around 10 minutes siguro para maka-catch up lang konti. Tapos Again, if hindi kayo nakaka-catch up, just review the videos, no? Tapos, just review this recording. I'll send it to you agad-agad pagkatapos ng session. Tapos ano, I think wala na tayong time para ma-cover itong ano, no? Align section, which is okay lang kasi 2 plates pala to. So, hindi pala siya meant to be done in one session lang, no? So, medyo mabilis pala tayo. So, gawin natin is, gawin natin yung 3D method, tapos yung remainder of the time, 2D method tayo. Try natin yung 2D method of using offset. Okay? So, again, yan yung itsura niya. If you're having trouble, just raise your hand. Lalapit na lang kami ni Jody. Para mas mabilis na mag-memorize lang ng numbers of kahit sa plates, okay lang, di ba? I-circle nyo lang siya. Memorize nyo yung number. Press ko na lang. Kasi pagka rotate pa, matagal pa kasi gagawa pa kayo ng guidelines. Memorize na lang yung number. Well, instead of using circle, dim na lang. Dim link, not dim link. Measure, tapos distance.
Julie, how are you?
Pwede. Pero, ginawa ko na siya. First of plate. I-times 2 nyo na lang yung video, no? Para mas pagka pinapanood nyo to. Okay? I think marami namang nakahabol na. So, pwede tayo mag-proceed na sa layout, no? So, let's just go to layout. Tapos, gawin natin is just delete the one that came with it. Tapos, from the layout, again, we always change the styles and standard first. Gawin natin third angle kasi again, for ES1, third angle projection tayo. And, ito kasing projection na to affects both the multi-view projection pati yung sectional views. So, it's very important na ibaguhin natin siya muna. Okay? Then, we do view base. Ang given sa atin was, yun? Top, tsaka right, no? Top at right side view. So, we go top view. Ang base natin. So, this one, top view. Tapos, press enter. Then, we go right side view. This one. And let's just double check kung same lang ba yung I'll change this to wireframe. Same lang, no? Tama ba? Okay. Just to double check. Tama naman. Now, dito sa layout, ang gagawin natin is we do a section view that is offset. Ito yung pipiliin natin. Offset sectional view. So, we have, again, full, half, offset, aligned, and from object. Gawin natin is offset. Tapos, ang pipiliin nating parent view is this view because this is where the offset view was created, no? So, ito siya. So, we select this one, press enter. Left click, the parent view. Now, pipili tayo ng offset view based on the, yung original natin na drawing. And, exit ko muna para lang mas ma-refresh tayo, no? So, dumadaan siya sa center nito. So, it starts here, dadaan sa center. Then, this one is arbitrary lang, no, kung saan siya mag-end. As long as yung next level mo ng offset is dadaan din sa center nitong itong rounded na rounded na rectangle na to. Tama? So, the easiest way to do that is you can place markers kung gusto nyo para alam nyo kung saan talaga magsa-start. Pero, ako, gagamit na lang ako ng tracking lines, no? So, what I'll do is, I'll go to layout, then section, again, offset, select the parent view, which is the top view. Tapos, gagawin ko is, I'll track this one, tatrack ko lang siya onto the left side. Parang ganyan. So, I can easily start here. Dire-diretso dito, I'll track it, papunta dyan, and I'll just, again, arbitrary lang naman yung point na kung saan siya mag-change level. So, I'll just place it here. Then, I'll track it again dito sa gitna na to. Ito, I'll track the center of this rounded corner, yung fillet. Tapos, track ko lang siya. Place it here. Then, pwedeng dire-diretso hanggang dulo, papunta dito sa side na to. Okay? So, to do this, it entails a lot of tracking, no? Parang magta-track tayo. Pero, if you don't want to do that, pwede naman, some students, and I'll just place it here, no? Enter lang. And ito na yung final answer. Some students, ang ginagawa nila is, they do something like, they first create a line, and they create the line in such a way na nasa new layer siya. Like, for example, let's just say guide. And I change this color. Gawin ko siyang pink para lang, alam talaga na guide lang siya. Then, ang gagawin nila is, hahanapin nila yung lines na to. Kumbaga, properties, layer, guide. Kumbaga, magdodrawing muna sila ng line. So, let's find this one. Tapos, drawing tayo ng dire-diretso pa ganyan. Then, extend this line. Pwede ganito. And then, again, arbitrary lang naman to. So, I'll just end it here. Then, I'll create a perpendicular line like so. Then, from the center here, dire-diretso, pag ganyan. I can trim this. Tapos, extend natin yung line na to hanggang dire-diretso dulo. Pag ganyan. So, pwedeng gawin nyo siya muna. You can opt to create the section view muna as just as just lines. Tapos, tsaka kayo gagawa ng section offset Now, if I select this, it's easy na sa akin na mag-snap, no? Kasi I have my guidelines. Madali na hanapin itong mga points na to. I can easily track it like so. Press enter. Then, select this one. Press enter again. So, that's one way to do it, no? Parang if you're not confident with using tracking lines, you can always just create first the guidelines para sa offset mo, then create the offset na section view afterwards. Okay? May konting mali, hindi naman siya mali, pero kasi there shouldn't be a line here, no? Tama? Kasi again, we consider this as one solid lang. Where it changes direction, dapat solid lang siya. Let's try to change, no? Kung may setting ba dito. Visibility and extends. Ito ba? Check ko lang yung option. There are a lot of options dito, no, kung ano yung gusto mong ipakita. Parang projection. Hindi, not that. Projection natin should be orthogonal. Na annotation. Sa hatch. Yes. Well, ganito kasi pinipresent ni AutoCAD, no? So, kasi in ES1, dapat wala tong line na to. This shouldn't exist, no? Ito. Pero since ito yung nilabas ni ni AutoCAD, it shows the line kung saan nagkaroon ng bend, then you can just use this as the final answer, no? Pero before this, kailangan natin ng center lines. So we create center lines for this one and this one. So ito siya. And we create another center line for this one and this one. And ito, kailangan natin baguhin to, no? To show na it can share the pwede niyang i-share itong yung long edge niya. So, di ba, ang pattern natin is long, short, long. So, pwedeng mangyari is long, short, long, and the long edge dito will be shared with the second na curved surface natin. So, eto, let's change the properties to, I think 0.5 siguro to, 0.5. Okay. So, masyadong mahaba tong extension nito. We can change this to, instead of extension niya is 3.5, pwede sigurong 3 lang. So, yung end extension pala yung babaguhin natin. So, pwedeng ito 3 or 2 lang. Or probably kahit 1 lang. Yan. So, ganyan siya. Kaso, ba't nawala? Legend. Ulitin ko nga, 3.5. Pwede pala manually change, no? Okay. Kailangan kung babaguhin ko to 1, kailangan kong baguhin to 0.5. Yan. Something like that. So, ito yung proper way of showing it, no? And I'll probably change this to black. Okay? So, yan yung final answer. Another one that we should consider is this one, no? Kasi curved surface siya. Kailangan natin ipakita kung saan siya nag-curve, no? Which is this one. So, kailangan natin ng parang outline dito. So, from the center, lalagay lang natin. And, para lang ma-produce yung we can do is create just a line here. Gawa lang tayo ng circle and create a line para may basis tayo for our center line, no? Center line is, and we can now delete this. Okay? So, pwede na tayong gumawa ng center line from this line to this line and from this line to this line. So, let's now delete the guidelines. So, ito siya. It will show an error no kasi dinelete ko yung original pero ito this is specifically for the where the where the curve ends no. Ito nag-end kasi yung curve dito. So ito yung center niyan. So parang ganyan siya. So understandable naman yan to whoever looks at this no. Makikita nila okay, this just means that this is the curved surface, mag-end siya dito, then flat siya, then curve again. And this is where the center of that curvature is. Okay? So, ganyan yung itsura ng final answer natin. So, if you plot it, this should be what the final answer should look like. Okay? Again, if you did the 3D model, sobrang mas mabilis na gagawin yung yung sectional views natin because AutoCAD has all 4 options no. Meron siyang full section, may half section siya, all 4 options nga. Full, may half siya, may offset, may aligned na din. Although etong aligned may konting bug dito no. May fix tayong gagawin sa AutoCAD and I'll show this in the next meeting. Okay? So ito I think okay na tayo sa offset na 3D. Let's do 2D naman. Okay? So ito, gawin natin yung 2D option. And it's similar to doing the full offset. Ang difference lang is that may different levels lang siya, no? So, this is just an exercise again of your accuracy. Okay? So, let's try to do the 2D version. So, for 2D, ang gagawin natin, just a bunch of projections lang, no? So, again, project lang natin to. Let's also project this one. Tapos ito, project din natin. Tapos, let's get the distance. Ito yung height. This is the height. Copy natin yung height na to onto the other side. Like so. And let's trim it down. Ito siya. Alright, tapos ito, we'll just follow the, yung profiles na to. So, this one. Actually, para mas madali ang 2D version dito. For this particular example, Tapos ito, I'll just bring it down. Ito din, bring it down. Like so. Tapos, ito naman, I'll also bring this down like so. Ito dito. Ito naman, copyin lang din natin to. Projection line lang pababa. Pababa. Tapos, I'll copy this distance for the basin. Dito. Lagay lang natin dyan. Let's create a line. And, dire-diretso ko lang yung line, no? Kasi I can always trim. I'll trim my guidelines. Tapos, ito, trim lang natin. Dapat ang makikita ko is this basin right here. So, ito. Trim natin to and trim natin to. Okay? So, it's much easier to do the, 2D version. For this particular example, hindi na natin kailangan gawin tong 3D model. Sobrang bilis lang. Kulang na lang is just to do hatchings, no? So, let's do the hatch lines. Again, easiest way to do the hatch lines is i-polyline nyo muna yung areas, enclosed areas na gusto nyo i-hatch. So, I'll just do this one. Close. As I'll do another polyline around this area. Tapos, I can close by C. So, again, ito kasi yung mga, I'll just highlight it, no? Ito, and this one. Yan yung sure tayo na that will have hatch lines, no? Kasi if you do the sectional view, ito yung in contact doon sa section plane natin or yung cutting plane natin, no? Tama? This one, hindi siya in contact kasi ito yung surface na to. This surface right here and this surface right here. Okay? Tapos last natin na in contact with the surface is actually this rectangle right here, no? Ito. So, I can select ito. I can do hatch H. Pwede ata hatch. Okay. If I do hatch pala, it opens the menu, which is okay. It's a good thing, no? Itong hatch and gradient. Pero if you choose hatch edit, itong pangalawa, ito yung parang walang menu lumalabas. Ang alam ko yung sa 2023, yun yung gamit ko kasi dati. Parang ito yung by default. Pag pinindot mo yung hatch, ito yung unang lumalabas na option. So, parang walang pop-up na lumalabas. Ikaw yung magsiset, no? So, parang ito. Select the polyline. Does not support old format na associated hatch blocks. Hindi na. Parang nagbago na nga talaga siya. Hatch na lang, yung normal, typical lang na hatch. ANSI 31 ulit tayo. Tapos, try lang natin yung default setting. Tapos, adjust na lang natin later on, no? Let's select the objects. Select natin to. Select objects. Let's select this object. This one. And the other one is this. Tama? Yun lang naman i-hatch natin. Press enter. Let's just press OK. Okay naman yung ano natin, no? Yung spacing. Okay? Tapos, gawin natin is, let's just do the center lines. Same as before. Center line. Select this one. But let's choose the line. Select this one and choose the line. And automatically na-produce yung center line na to. Tapos, same as before. Center line again. Select the line. Not the polyline. Ito din. Select the line. And mag-overlap sila. And dahil hindi ganun ka-accurate yung gawa ko, no, notice how hindi talaga nag-overlap. No? Kasi nag-estimate lang kasi tayo dito eh. So, hindi siya fully nag-overlap. Pero okay lang yan. Tapos ito, we can adjust the, scale. 0.5 natin to. Tapos, kontihan lang natin. Ideally, it should overlap, no? Hindi ko kasi sinakto na at the middle to, no? Okay? Well, pwede naman i-adjust. Hindi, wag na i-adjust. Okay na yan. Tapos ito naman, ginawa natin dito was create lang tayo ng projection line from here. Tama? Another projection line. And again, I'm just estimating dito, no? Pero and gumawa tayo ng circle from here. Tapos another line here and another circle here. Parang ganyan lang ginawa natin. Tapos delete lang natin to. Let's trim this. Tapos gawin natin is, let's just delete this one doon sa middle kasi doon natin igagawin yung center line natin. Center line, select this point, this line and this line. Automatically creates. Press this point and this one, center line ulit. So automatically created and we can just delete this one. And ito yung expectation, no? For ES1, if you're doing this for manually using ES1 techniques, ito talaga yung nakikita ng bakit siya may additional line? Ano to? Delete ko lang. Okay? So, ito yung expectation natin na mapoproduce na wait. Tama ba to? Tama naman. Okay? So, parang ganyan, no? Regardless kung nasaan yung parang bend dun sa offset natin, hindi dapat siya lumalabas. For ES1, hindi siya lumalabas. So, wala yung line in the middle, no? Okay? So, if you're doing 2D methods, no need to show the line. But if you're doing 3D methods, automatic kasi lumalabas kung saan nyo ginawa yung parang offset, yung change in level. Okay? So, parang ang lesson dito is, it depends on the object, no? Kasi kunwari, if you look at this one, sobrang bilis natin nagawa. Tama? 2D method, sobrang bilis nagawa. Tapos yung 3D, sobrang bagal kasi 3D pa tayo, nag-create tayo ng model. Pero, after creating the model, mabilis na yung sectional view. So, it now depends on what the object is. If you think that the object is harder to do using 2D, tapos madali lang siya gawin yung 3D model niya, then go ahead, 3D model kayo. Pero kung medyo mahirap yung 3D model, pwede nyo man i-attempt nyo muna mag 2D, no? Kasi baka mas madali pag yun yung ginawa nyo. Okay? So I think we can end there, 5:15. Again, I'll send the recordings. Ito, record natin. Tapos, yung align section, we'll do it on Thursday. Yung plates, sabay na lang natin gagawin yung 16 and 17. Wait, check lang natin yung plate, no? Let's check the plates. Gaano kahirap yung plate? Kailangan nyo din mag 3D talaga, sabi dito eh. Okay, mukhang window 1 will be 2D, manually draw, so 2D to. Tapos window 2 is 3D. Okay? So again, 2D methods, window 1, 3D methods, window 2. So kayo bahala kung ano. Sorry, not kayo bahala. Kailangan nyo gawin both 2D and 3D. Tapos for plate 17, check lang natin. Alam ko aligned section to eh. Ba't may sagot? May sagot ba? Ito, madali. Buti na lang, no? Kasi merong numbers. So, it will be much easier to, reconstruct. For this one, I suggest, nyo na, reconstruct yung 3D model. Kasi given yung mga radius, tsaka yung, distances, very easy to reconstruct, no? Okay? Pero mukhang dito sa plate 17, fully 3D siya. Kailangan nyo talagang gawin. Alright, so i-provide ko na lang. Anong gusto nyo? Plate 16 muna tayo sa Thursday. Tapos, next Tuesday is dimensioning and yung last lesson. Tapos, next week, Tuesday, dimensioning and align. Tapos, sa next Thursday is the plate 17. Ganun na lang. Kaso, may time pa ba kayo for final project? Wait lang. Ito na yun eh. Tama. Finals week kayo magpa-final project. wait lang. Dapat pala binibigay ko na sa inyo yung final project guidelines, no? Send ko na din sa inyo to. Ito siya. Final project guidelines. Doable naman to. Tingnan natin yung instructions. %30 of your grade. 30% to. So, kailangan nyo ayusin. You select an everyday household object. Tapos, your chosen object must be composed of at least 10 primitive solids or 10 distinct solid elements. Models meet the rigorous standards of the course and demonstrate sufficient level. Huwag kayo pumili ng sobrang daling object, no? Like, for example, eraser, ganon. Yung eraser. Ano lang yun? Primitive solids is yung mga, ang tawag dito? Yung cylinders, 10 distinct siya. Kumbaga, ang ano lang dito is, kaya siya 10 distinct kasi para hindi kayo pipili ng, kunwari, eraser, ganito. Kasi ito, one primitive solid lang to, di ba?
Sir, hindi yun one, ano yun, nakahati siya, sir.
Kung i-drawing nyo yung different na, kunwari, ito, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 na yun. Tapos kung i-drawing nyo din yung baba, 7 yun. So pwedeng ganon. Pero, bawal to, siyempre, kasi hindi siya complex enough. Pero, Yun yung point ng kaya kailangan may at least 10 primitive solids. May example ka? Sige, pwede kayo pakita ni Jody ng example para ma-judge nyo. I'll also show some examples from previous classes, no? Para alam nyo kung ano ba yung complex enough. I'll share this with you tonight din para at least mabasa nyo na. Tapos you can actually start working on it, no? As early as now. Okay, yun lang muna. Thank you for coming in and i-stop ko na yung recording.
Sponge, maraming sir.